Thank you so much for joining me. I'm meteorologist Brian Shields. I want to cover the weekend forecast, no doubt, but I want to show you the chance of some tropical development, or more so subtropical development in the Atlantic. It is rare for this time of year, but there's a little spin up we're watching. Now, I keep things in perspective, of course. This is no major threat or anything like that. I want to lead off with that. I always try to let you know exactly what's going to happen with the weather. I do this channel for safety, and that's it. This is simply an interesting area to watch. And you see here, this is the European model, and it's kind of hinting at some development. You can see some of this purple over here. That would be a very small chance of development. So it's not likely, but it is possible, 5, maybe 10% chance. Now, a tropical system is warm cored. It's warm at the center, and you can have really strong winds at the center, like one of our hurricanes. A subtropical storm, it's not really tropical in nature. It's kind of a broader storm system. Still some strong winds are possible with that. Now, what I think will happen is something will try to spin up somewhat in the Atlantic. If it gets close enough to us in the Caribbean, could give us some gustier winds and a chance of some fast-moving showers. But again, not a major threat, but definitely interesting to watch to see if something tries to develop in December, because it is so rare. The next name on the list is Tony. So what is happening? I want to show you kind of not just that something may develop, but why. What's happening is we get these big fronts that have been passing by. As they move into the Atlantic, like this one, they sometimes leave leftover moisture. That moisture kind of hangs out there, and then it starts to develop, or at least tries to develop. So that's what we're looking at. Let me show you first the European model and then the American model, and then I want to show you some really big wave heights. Now, here's what's going on. This is the big picture, right? I know this map's a little bit crazy, so thank you for your patience. But here we are in the Caribbean. Here's this big front rolling through the Atlantic region of Canada. Now, what's going on is as this front continues to push off, here's Bermuda right here to the east of Bermuda, it leaves some of this leftover moisture around. So let me jump out in time here. This is by Wednesday. So we're looking here about 5 days from now, right there to the east of us in the Caribbean, there's the extra rain around. And then it will be very interesting to see if this does try to spin up into a subtropical storm, which would be Tony. But look at this, a big front moving through Canada, the United States, down through the Gulf. Now, this front is going to be a major player for us in the Caribbean. Now, here's what's going to happen. By the time we get into next weekend, so we're looking at about a week from now, this is next Saturday, still watching this kind of broad area of low pressure. Very small chance it does develop into Subtropical Storm Tony. Could bring us some extra rain and, again, some gustier winds. But then we get this really strong front that is going to be moving by the U.S. And then as it combines with this area, it will kind of lift this area up to the north. So even if something does develop, it should eventually shoot away. But as this area combines with the front, it could actually help spin this front more to the south. So I do believe once we get into about 7 or 8 days from now, even 9 days from now, we are going to have a much bigger front getting all the way down for most of us in the Caribbean. So first thing I'm watching is for any chance of subtropical development in the Atlantic. And then about 7, 8 days from now, we're going to have a big front moving in. So if you haven't had the cool weather yet, we will eventually get a shot of that by the time we get into the middle of December. Some of the Christmas breezes, Christmas winds, once again, moving in. Now, here it is on the American model, and then I'll show you those big wave heights. So here's that first front. As it pulls off to the east of Bermuda, it's going to leave some of this leftover moisture around. Of course, these fronts bring down some of the colder weather. It's just a matter of how far south does that chilly weather get. Now, let's go out in time here. Again, this is today. Let's work our way through the weekend. I'll zoom down in a moment too and kind of slow things down. But this here is by next week. This is by Tuesday. So there we go. You see right there, this one a little bit more to the east of Bermuda. There's that area, kind of this storm system that will try to develop somewhat. And you can see how this is pretty far away from us. If it hangs out there a little bit longer and this front slows down, it could develop into a subtropical storm. But either way, as we go forward deep into next week, next weekend, 7, 8 days from now, as I mentioned, this big front moving through Canada and the United States. Look at that cranking up. As that moves over the water near Bermuda, it should take this spin and kind of lift this spin up to the north and away from us in the Caribbean. With that said, this front though, that's the second thing, a big player. Look how far it dips down. The Bahamas, Cuba, right near the Cayman Islands, Jamaica, back near Belize, Honduras, Nicaragua. That front is going to dip way down. So this here is, again, you can see here, December 12th. So we're getting way out in time. And then eventually by next weekend, it takes this area, kind of combines it with the front, but look at that front all the way down through the Turks and Caicos near Haiti, Jamaica, down toward Nicaragua, and then this moisture with this area kind of lifts to the north, and then the models are hinting at some stronger storm systems building near Texas and Mexico and moving their way through the Gulf of Mexico. We'll monitor these. Sometimes these could bring some severe weather, so watching this area as well. Plenty to track, a very active pattern as we work our way through the rest of December. Now the water temperatures, they are still above average. I showed you that in yesterday's video, running at about 29 degrees Celsius, 84 degrees Fahrenheit in the Caribbean. Cooler in the Gulf of Mexico. A lot of them are down in the 70s, even some 60s around in the Gulf. Now, this area out here where there could be some subtropical development, water temperatures are generally below 80 degrees, so that's not conducive for tropical development, but they are still running above average. That could add a little extra juice to these systems and help develop them into something subtropical. So if a subtropical storm were to form, which still is not likely, the next name on the list is Tony, Valerie, William. Most likely we don't get those. Sarah was the last name system. Hurricane season's over, but the list, it continues through the end of the calendar year. January 1st, that's when that new list of names cranks in for next year. Now, watching out for still some of the rain in Central America. We'll get some spotty showers in the Eastern Caribbean. Let me show you that and get you through our weekend forecast right here. So this is later today. There's that first front that will eventually bring some leftover moisture in the Atlantic, but watching out for some spotty showers, that easterly flow with us. Some of our islands stay dry, others get some of those showers. Let me know in the comments, and still watching that rain close to Belize, more so Honduras and Nicaragua. Then as we get into Saturday, to take you through our weekend, you see the same thing. We're watching this front just kind of dipping down, but it will be falling apart, but still some cooler nights in our northern sections, and still watching out for some of the rain around in Honduras. Hit or miss shower anywhere from Dominica down through Trinidad and Tobago. Could get a couple showers St. Lucia, St. Vincent the Grenadines, Grenada, and Barbados. Now, on Sunday, generally that same pattern, although the rain chance starts to go down in Central America. We'll get some of the cooler air trying to creep in our northern sections. Easterly flow bringing us some spotty showers across the Eastern Caribbean. And while there's still some rain in parts of Central America, that rain chance will gradually be dropping off as we go throughout the weekend. Now let's get to the north, and then I want to show you the wave heights. Now, what's happening for the Atlantic region of Canada, these big fronts moving by, and you know the routine, you're leaving me those comments yesterday. Keep me posted. We have this front sliding by. We're going to get some shots of snow and colder air, of course. We've already had the colder air moving in, but more little shots kind of pinwheeling around this storm system. So you see another Alberta clipper coming in here. This is by the time we get into Saturday. Some lake effect snow will be possible. Snow showers, Nova Scotia, and back toward Newfoundland. But with that said, you see here as we work our way into Sunday, this little clipper system kind of starts to get its act together a little bit more. Nova Scotia, we'll see it in Prince Edward Island, New Brunswick, chances of some snow as we work our way into Sunday, and then we'll kind of see this area kind of curling up toward the northeast. Now with that, the seas are going to be very high. Meters here, feet here. By the way, big time system rolling into parts of the UK and Ireland. Huge wind maker, but look at those high seas, North Atlantic, as these fronts move by. Very dangerous and high seas. This is taking you through the weekend. This here is by Sunday. Staying choppy, especially Central and Western Caribbean. The seas running at about 2 feet or about 7 maybe, or rather 2 meters, or anywhere from about 5 to 7, 8 feet in some spots. So staying choppy in the Caribbean. And then this here is by Tuesday of next week. Watching that next area, very dangerous seas, of course, with those fronts pulling off in the North Atlantic. Now, we get a look at the rain totals, very low. Passing showers would be possible. Cayman Islands were mainly dry. Jamaica, we may get a couple showers. We've had some in a few spots over the last 24 hours. May pick up around 10 to maybe 25 millimeters of rain, maybe half of an inch of rain if we get a shower. Same thing, parts of Cuba, Turks and Caicos, Puerto Rico, Anguilla, St. Bart's, Montserrat. Our rain chance is not too high. Antigua, Barbuda, it would be a passing shower as we go throughout the weekend. 10, maybe 15 millimeters of rain, quarter, maybe half of an inch of rain. See a little purple showing up. This is that easterly breeze, so we'll get some of those passing showers. Southeastern Caribbean from Trinidad up through Dominica. Could get a couple of those showers back through St. Lucia. Guyana, Suriname, northern Venezuela, that rain chance has gone down. The model's still showing a lot of rain in Honduras. This is probably a little bit overdone. It's showing about 10 inches of rain possible possible over the next 3 days. It's not going to be that high, but I am still monitoring, as you know, and as we've talked about together, that flood threat. If we get additional rain in parts of Nicaragua where we've already had some of the rain, same thing in Honduras, we could get some additional flooding. Mexico City, we're mainly on the dry side. So some spotty showers possible across Jamaica for us, 40% chance as we get through the weekend. As we go through the weekend in the Cayman Islands, we are generally on the dry side. 30% chance of that isolated shower this weekend. Trinidad and Tobago, 40% chance Saturday and Sunday in Barbados, that easterly flow. So in St. Lucia, 30-40% chance of a hit or miss shower for our upcoming weekend. Rain chance 40% on Saturday in Grenada, a 30% chance on Sunday, 30 to 40% chance right through the weekend, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Rain chance holding at 40% Saturday and Sunday for Martinique. Through the weekend, Dominica, 30 to 40% chance of some rain. And we do that again in Guadeloupe. Easterly flow, breezy at times. Some of us have had some windy weather. So Guadeloupe tomorrow, rain chance at 40%. Down a little bit more, Antigua, Barbuda, we're looking at a 30% chance of a shower this weekend. 30% chance of a shower, St. Kitts, Nevis, and Montserrat. 40% chance tomorrow in Anguilla and St. Bart's, and a 30% chance on Sunday. Rain chance holding at 30% through the weekend. St. Martin, Saba, and Statia, just a 20% chance in Puerto Rico, mainly dry. Some of us still need to get some of the rain. 30% chance on Sunday. Through the weekend, U.S. and British Virgin Islands, a 20 to 30% chance of a shower. 20% chance in the Bahamas, but that's mainly southern Bahamas. We're generally dry across our islands in the Bahamas through the weekend with some of those colder nights with that new front moving by. Turks and Caicos, rain chance this weekend at 20%, and looking at about a 20 to 30% chance of a shower this weekend in the Dominican Republic. Just a 10 to 20% chance in Haiti. Rain chance 30% in Belize on Saturday. For us on Sunday, slightly higher, mainly in our southern zones, but not a washout. Aruba, Curacao, Bonaire, that easterly breeze could bring us a few showers, 30% chance for the most part as we go through the weekend. Curacao, Bonaire, just that rain chance staying pretty minimal. Rain chance has gone down in Guyana versus what we had earlier this week. Same thing in Suriname, and the rain chance stays very minimal in Cuba. Best chance of getting a few showers would be in our eastern sections. 40% chance of rain Costa Rica and Panama this weekend, so that rain chance, as I was mentioning, it's going down some. 50% chance in Nicaragua this weekend. And you see going down further, 60% chance in Honduras tomorrow, but just a 50% chance on Sunday. Rain chance stays small, Guatemala and El Salvador, and we're generally dry as we work our way back through Mexico City. Rain chance only 10%, that's it, generally dry. Yucatan Peninsula, 10-20% chance this weekend. 20% chance this weekend, Northern Colombia. 20 to 30% chance this weekend of a shower in northern Venezuela. And as we get through Cuba, as we get through Bermuda, just kind of timing out those fronts, and as those fronts sweep by, we could see some of the showers, watching out for the elevated seas and some of the gustier winds. So monitoring the Atlantic to see if we do have any subtropical system forming. I'll be tracking that for you as we get into next week. It'll be kind of, I don't want to say fun, but interesting to see. Again, I don't ever root for a big system, but this year, so long it's over water, we'll see what happens with it. We'll track how close it does get, and those big fronts coming. Again, 7-8 days from now, we should get a shot of cooler weather in the Caribbean. I will keep you posted. Until then, have a wonderful weekend.